Nick Newman's quiet struggle turns dangerous as The Young and the Restless delivers a tense Thursday episode packed with addiction risk and corporate warfare. Sharon remains deeply worried about Nick's condition. She believes Nick is simply pushing himself too hard after leaving the hospital early and assumes his lingering pain is part of the recovery process. What Sharon does not know is far more alarming. Nick has run out of his prescription medication. Desperate for relief, he is now considering using the fentanyl he secretly took from Matt Clark. The situation signals the beginning of a rapid and potentially life-altering addiction spiral that could put Nick's life in serious danger. While Nick fights a hidden battle, a psychological war erupts at Newman Enterprises. Victoria storms into a meeting between Kane and Phyllis and makes it clear she will stop their takeover over her dead body. Kane and Phyllis remain confident their plan is already in motion, but Victoria reveals she has a powerful counter-strategy ready to deploy. Victoria targets Kane's emotional weakness. She exploits his lingering connection to Lily Winters by exposing his vengeful actions. The move is designed to trigger Lily's intervention and shake Kane's confidence at the worst possible moment. When Lily expresses her disappointment, Kane is visibly torn. Her reaction forces him to confront the consequences of his choices. However, Phyllis continues playing the role of the devil on his shoulder, pushing Kane to ignore the guilt and stay focused on winning control of the company. Tensions explode again at the Newman Ranch. Still furious after witnessing Jack and Nikki share a warm embrace, Victor refuses to believe the moment was innocent. Even though Jack previously surrendered Matt Clark, Victor makes it clear their fragile truce is over. Victor delivers a fierce warning. Jack is once again declared a primary enemy, signaling that old rivalries are officially back on the battlefield. With Nick sliding toward addiction, Victoria launching emotional warfare, and Victor reigniting personal vendettas, the stakes across Genoa City continue to rise fast. The Young and the Restless spoilers, Thursday, January 22nd. Addiction and War. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thursday's episode of The Young and the Restless is going to be intense on multiple fronts. We've got Nick Newman standing on the edge of a cliff about to fall into the deadliest part of the opioid crisis. Victoria Newman launching psychological warfare against Kane Ashp and Victor Newman's jealousy, destroying any chance of peace with Jack Abbott. And honestly, the decisions made on Thursday are going to have consequences that last for months. So, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because Thursday is going to deliver some of the most critical moments in these ongoing storylines. Alright, let's get into this. Nick's dangerous path, the fentanyl crisis. Let's start with what's going to be the most terrifying storyline on Thursday. Nick Newman's descent into the most dangerous territory of addiction. Sharon remains deeply concerned about Nick. She can see that he's struggling with intense physical pain. She's watching him suffer, seeing him unable to rest comfortably, witnessing the toll that his injury is taking on him. But Sharon's interpreting Nick's behavior through a lens that makes sense to her. She believes he's simply pushing himself too hard after leaving the hospital early. She thinks Nick's being stubborn and not giving his body adequate time to heal. And on the surface, that explanation makes perfect sense. Nick did leave the hospital early. He is pushing himself. Those facts are true. But what Sharon doesn't know is the real reason Nick's struggling so much. And that ignorance is going to cost precious time in getting Nick the help he needs. Because unbeknownst to Sharon, Nick is out of prescription medication. The pills that were managing his pain and that he'd become dependent on are gone. And Nick's body is demanding that medication. His brain is screaming for it. The withdrawal is probably making his physical pain exponentially worse. And here's where things get absolutely terrifying. Nick has fentanyl. He took it from Matt Clark at some point, and now he's got it in his possession. And on Thursday, Nick is on the verge of using it. Let me emphasize how dangerous this moment is. Fentanyl is one of the deadliest drugs in the opioid crisis. It's so potent that even a tiny miscalculation in dosage can be fatal. People die from fentanyl overdoses every single day because the line between a dose that provides relief and a dose that stops your breathing is razor thin. Nick's not a drug expert. He doesn't know how to properly dose fentanyl. He's just a man in pain who's desperate for relief and has access to an incredibly dangerous substance. So, when Nick takes that fentanyl and the spoilers suggest he's going to, he's literally playing Russian roulette with his life. Every time he uses it, there's a chance he doesn't wake up. The script suggests Nick is heading toward a rapid and life-altering addiction. The word rapid is key here. This isn't going to be a slow decline. Nick's going to fall hard and fast into full-blown fentanyl addiction. And life-altering tells us this isn't something Nick's going to just bounce back from. This is going to change him fundamentally. Even if he survives, even if he eventually gets clean, he's never going to be the same person he was before this addiction. Sharon's going to be blindsided when she discovers the truth. Because right now, she's worried, but not panicking. She thinks Nick just needs rest and proper medical care. But when she finds out he's been using fentanyl, when she realizes the true scope of what's happening, she's going to be devastated, and she's going to blame herself for not seeing it sooner, even though Nick's been deliberately hiding it from her. The question is, how much damage is going to be done before someone intervenes? How many times is Nick going to use fentanyl before he overdoses or gets caught? And when someone does discover what's happening, is it going to be too late to save him? The war for Newman Enterprises, Victoria's counterstrike. While Nick's personal crisis is reaching a dangerous peak, Victoria's corporate battle is also reaching a critical moment. And Victoria is about to deploy one of the most effective weapons in psychological warfare, exploiting your enemy's emotional vulnerabilities. Victoria crashes a meeting between Kane and Phyllis. She doesn't wait for an invitation. She doesn't try to schedule a proper business meeting. She just shows up where they are and confronts them directly. And Victoria makes a declaration that's absolutely fierce. She tells them she will stop their takeover over her dead body. That's not just determination. That's Victoria making it clear she would literally rather die than let Kane and Phyllis steal her family's company. It's the ultimate statement of how far she's willing to go. Kane and Phyllis probably think Victoria's just posturing. They believe their victory is already set in motion. They think the AI attacks have done enough damage that Newman Enterprises is inevitably going to fall into their hands. But Victoria reveals she has a counter-strategy. She's not just going to sit back and watch her family lose everything. She's been planning, strategizing, preparing for exactly this moment. And Victoria's counter-strategy is brilliant in its simplicity and brutal in its execution. She's targeting Kane's emotional connection to Lily Winters. We've talked about this before, but it bears repeating. Lily is Kane's weak spot. He lost her. He blames himself for driving her away. And deep down, part of Kane is still hoping that maybe someday he can win her back. So, Victoria exploits that vulnerability. She likely alerts Lily to Kane's vengeful actions. She tells Lily what Kane's doing with the Newman takeover, how ruthless he's become, how he's partnering with Phyllis to destroy a family business. And Victoria probably frames it in a way that emphasizes how this behavior is exactly what cost his relationship with Lily in the first place. She's reminding Lily why she left. Because Kane prioritizes power and revenge over everything else, including the people he claims to love. So Lily reaches out to Kane and she expresses her deep disappointment. The spoiler suggests this might come via a heated voicemail or video call, which means Kane has to hear or see Lily telling him how let down she is. Think about how devastating that is for Kane. The woman he loves is telling him he's become someone she can't respect. She's confirming his worst fears about himself, that his choices have made him unworthy of her. And Kane is left torn. Part of him wants to listen to Lily. Part of him wants to prove to her that he can be better, that he's not the ruthless corporate raider she's describing. But here's where Phyllis comes in. Because Phyllis remains the devil on his shoulder. Phyllis urges Kane to stay focused on their alliance and the prize of taking over Newman Enterprises. She probably tells him that Lily doesn't understand that she's being manipulated by Victoria, that once they've won, once they have the company, everything else will fall into place. Phyllis is encouraging Kane to ignore his conscience and push forward. She's telling him that success will justify everything they're doing. So, Kane has to make a choice. Does he listen to Lily, the woman whose opinion matters more to him than anyone else's? Or does he listen to Phyllis, his partner in this scheme, who's telling him what he wants to hear? It's a test of Kane's character. And based on his recent behavior, based on how far he's already gone, Kane's probably going to choose Phyllis's path. He's going to push aside his feelings for Lily and stay focused on the takeover. But that choice is going to cost him because every time Kane chooses power over love, every time he prioritizes revenge over relationships, he's burning a bridge that can never be rebuilt. Victoria knows this. That's why her strategy is so effective. She's not trying to stop Kane through force or illegal action. She's making him destroy himself by forcing him to reveal his true priorities. The ranch face-off. Victor's fury unleashed. Now, let's talk about what's happening at the Newman Ranch because Victor's jealousy is about to destroy any possibility of peace with Jack Abbott. We know that Victor witnessed a warm embrace between Jack and Nikki. And despite the fact that this was probably innocent, just two old friends comforting each other during a stressful time, Victor refuses to accept that explanation. Victor's seeing this through the lens of his decades-long rivalry with Jack. He's seeing it as Jack making a move on his wife, as Jack disrespecting him, as Jack crossing a line that can never be forgiven. So Victor lashes out. And knowing Victor, this isn't going to be a calm, rational conversation. This is going to be Victor unleashing his full fury. The spoilers specifically mention that despite Jack surrendering Matt Clark earlier, Victor makes it clear that their truce is over. Think about the significance of that. Jack did Victor a favor by handing over Matt. Jack could have turned Matt over to the police, which would have complicated things for Victor. But instead, Jack cooperated with the Newman family. And Victor's response to throw that cooperation back in Jack's face and declare him an enemy again. It's completely unfair. It's irrational, but it's also completely in character for Victor when his jealousy is triggered. Victor delivers a fierce warning to Jack, re-establishing him as a primary enemy. So, whatever fragile peace existed between them, whatever possibility there was of them working together against Kane and Phyllis is now shattered. And that's exactly what Kane and Phyllis want. While Victor and Jack are fighting each other, they're not focusing on the real threat. They're wasting energy and resources on personal animosity while their companies are being systematically dismantled. Jack's probably going to be furious about this confrontation. He was trying to do the right thing. He was trying to help the Newman family, and Victor's accusing him of trying to steal his wife. So Jack's going to fire back. He's probably going to tell Victor that his jealousy is pathetic, that Nikki deserves better than to be treated like Victor's possession, that Victor's paranoia is the real threat to his marriage, and that's only going to make Victor angrier. These two men are going to say things to each other that can't be taken back. They're going to damage their relationship in ways that might be irreparable. Nikki's caught in the middle of all this, probably frustrated and angry that Victor's jealousy is creating unnecessary conflict. She didn't do anything wrong. Jack didn't do anything wrong. But Victor's insecurities are turning an innocent moment into a crisis. The tragedy is that if Victor could control his jealousy, if he could trust Nikki and focus on the real threats facing his company, he and Jack might be able to form an effective alliance against Kane and Phyllis. But Victor can't get past his own ego. And that blindness is going to cost him. The bigger picture, self-destruction. Let's step back and look at what's really happening across Thursday's episode. Because the common thread running through all of these storylines is self-destruction. Nick is destroying himself through addiction. He's making choices that are going to kill him or fundamentally damage his life. And he's doing it while hiding the truth from people who love him and want to help. Kane is destroying himself through his obsession with revenge. He's choosing power over love, corporate victory over personal relationships, and every choice he makes is taking him further away from the man Lily could respect. Victor is destroying potential alliances through his jealousy. He's sabotaging his own interests by making enemies of people who could be helping him. His inability to control his possessiveness is weakening him at exactly the moment when he needs to be strongest. All three of these men are their own worst enemies. They're creating their own problems through their choices and their inability to see beyond their immediate emotions. And the people around them, Sharon, Lily, Mickey, Jack, are watching helplessly as these men destroy themselves and damage everyone in their orbit. So, here's what I want to know from you. Do you think someone's going to discover Nick's fentanyl use before he overdoses? And who do you think is going to be the one to find out? What about Victoria's strategy with Lily? Do you think it's going to work? Is Kane going to choose Lily's approval over the Newman takeover, or is Phyllis going to keep him focused on revenge? And what about Victor and Jack? Do you think their confrontation on Thursday is going to make any future alliance impossible? Or is there still a chance they'll realize they need to work together? Finally, do you think Mick's going to survive this addiction storyline? And what kind of permanent damage do you think he's going to suffer even if he does get clean eventually? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Tell me your predictions for Thursday's episode and which storyline you're most worried about. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on because the fallout from Thursday's episode is going to be massive and you're going to want to be here to discuss every moment. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you in the next video. And remember, in Genoa City, the biggest enemy is often yourself. Stay dramatic.